Hey everybody, welcome. Today's video is going to be another Hillis Collection video. We're going to focus on the few CGC books that I have in my collection and what I consider is the importance of these books in my collection. I've been collecting comics for well over 40 years now, and I'm not the biggest CGC fan. I like actually reading my books, but I do have a few in my collection. Most of them are books that was originally mine, that I sent off to CGC, and some of them, or at least one, was given to me as a gift. But we're going to get into this and I'll go through them. This won't be a long video because it's not that many, but let's get to it. Welcome to RCX Unfiltered. First, we're going to start off with some of my early books. Not early books, but earlier books. Spider-Man #1. And these were, once again, these were my original purchases from whenever, 90, when the book came out. So this is what I have here. So this was basically my first Spider-Man #1 issue that I had. And that's, I guess, why it was important to me on that, because at the time, you really just couldn't go and find an amazing, I guess spectacular was kind of easy. And then I have both of these versions, the regular and then the black or silver edition that they call it. So both of these came out in 90. So that is a part of that. And then to continue on with Spider-Man, I actually have the Miles Morales variant from 2020. This was his, or the Miles birthday cover. This was actually given to me by one of my friends as a gift. So that is a part of my collection. Good old party time. And then last in this stack is the first Last Ronin #1 that I had CGC. So we sent some of these off for the store, and I ended up sending mine off too to get. I guess Last Ronin for me is kind of important, mainly because like I bought off the rack the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle books. And if you haven't read the original books, you know, that was really a more mature type book. It wasn't what people then found in the 80s with the animated series and things like that. And this is kind of a wrap up of that series, which I was really excited for. So those are pretty cool. And then if anyone knows me at all, they know I'm a huge Terry Moore fan. So we'll start off with this one. I have an Archie book where Terry did the cover and Mark Waid was the writer of this book. This actually I got in a blind auction. It was a charity auction, so I bid on it and I won. So that was pretty cool. So I think, yeah, this was a Bedrock City Comics exclusive. So, but I got this at I think it was a Comics Pro, however many years ago. When did this book come out? 2015. So I think I got this though in 2018, 19 at a charity auction. And then I did have my original Strangers in Paradise, the first 3 issues. Actually, it was the original miniseries. It was only 3 issues. So this is actually, so these are all first printings that I'm going to show, but this isn't actually my first copy of this. This was my second copy of #1 that I bought a couple of years later when the series went to homage. I found this and I bought it again at the time. This is the one I sent off. I'll show the other one that I have, my original Strangers that I got off the rack on day 1 when I do another Terry video. But that is #1. And here's a #2. This is my original #2 though. So when I got this back in 93. And then here is number 3. So, and this one came out in 94. Yeah, it's a lower grade, mainly because you probably can't see it, but there's a big mark on the back there. But it was fun. It was fun sending these off, mainly because why not? I own a few copies each of these, so I sent off my, like I said, 2 and 3 was my original copies I got off the rack. 1 was a secondary copy that I got a few years after that. My original one I didn't send off because I had put it in a different casing and I just didn't want to send it off. And now, so some of my these are older books, I guess. So this is from 75. So it's Werewolf by Night 32, which this was the first Moon Knight. So this was one of my original comics that I got. I probably didn't get it in 75. I was 3, I think, when this came out. But I got this sometime in the late 70s. So I've had it since then. So it's been around in my collection for a while, or I may have gotten it in the 80s. But I've always kind of been a big Moon Knight fan, and this is probably why, because I was reading some of the Werewolf by Night, and then I had his first appearance. Of course, I mean, back in the 70s, I didn't know anything about first appearances, so just so happened to still have this and keep it in my collection. And then I did almost have a full run of Amazing Spider-Man. I was only really missing a couple, and I never actually owned an Amazing Fantasy, which was his first appearance. I owned an Amazing Spider-Man 1 up through the first 5 or 6, and then I owned that. And, you know, as you go through the years, you get rid of stuff, you get stuff, and then I've gotten rid of almost all my Amazing stuff, but I kept actually 3 Amazing Spider-Man books. And the reason I kept them is because I kind of like the history of comics and where comics have been. And so this was my Amazing Spider-Man number 96. And so what is important with this book is because this was really the first, I guess, even in the time in the 70s, the first main comic that did not have a Comics Code Authority. So at the time, there was a Comics Code Authority. They did a lot with telling you what could and couldn't be in books. And this one was basically, it dealt with, well, you had 96, you had 97, and then you had 98. And these are actually what's considered the drug books, because Harry had a drug problem, Harry Osborn, and then they dealt with a bunch of overdoses in this book. And at the time, Comics Code didn't allow you to put anything about drugs in any comics. It wasn't allowed. You couldn't get the Comics Code approved. Well, it was determined that this story was important enough because it was showing drugs in a bad light that Marvel decided that, hey, we're going to still publish this story. We'll just do it without the Comics Code. So it was the first time that a big mainstream publisher, which Marvel, DC, you still had a bunch of underground stuff, but not Marvel or DC, hadn't done anything without the Comics Code in a long time. And Marvel said, forget it, we're going to print it. And yeah, this came out in 71. And what it really did is one of the companies finally stood up, right? So it actually changed the way the Comics Code looked at things at the time, and it kind of loosened a lot of their codes. They kind of took out, okay, well, you can do things about drugs now. And what it really kind of led to was the horror type books or like mystery type books that showed back up in the mid to late 70s really all came about because of this. So you may not even would have had a Werewolf by Night in the late 70s if it hadn't have been for this book, where they kind of broke the Comics Code Authority. And then, if you haven't heard of the Comics Code Authority, that's because pretty much everyone abandoned it a while ago. And I can't remember who actually, someone owns I think it's Comic Book Legal Defense Fund actually like owns that little logo now, and they use it for stuff to kind of show what you can and can't do as far as censorship in books. So this is my little collection of CGCs. This is probably stuff that will always stay in my collection. Normal single issue stuff. Like I said, I've gotten rid of a lot of my Amazing Spider-Man stuff, but this is actually, these three are it. These three is what's left of my entire Amazing Spider-Man collection. The rest of it actually went to the shop up there. So the shop has most of that now. So that's it. That is what I have in my CGC collection. Like I said, it's not a whole lot, but these three here, along with my Strangers, are probably the most important to me. Well, Werewolf by Night is cool, and it's the first appearance of Moon Knight. But if someone really wanted that, I'm sure they could get that from me. But these 6 here will probably never leave my side. So, well, once again, thanks a lot. Thanks for joining me for this little video. We'll get to more of my collection at some point. There's still lots to show. I think we've done the omnibus. We did the Terry Moore prints. Behind me over here, you can kind of see some of my trade collection. But I've got a whole nother library of hardcovers and lots of stuff. So we'll get to a lot of that at some point. If there's things that you would like to see or you would like for us to do on this channel, please let us know. Leave a comment down below, or message us at the store and say, hey, what about this? And if you are liking the videos, please like the video, subscribe to our channel. Let us know what we're doing, or once again, what we're not doing that you would like to see more of. So once again, thanks a lot for joining me. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.